Hello there all you true believers and newcomers alike. Welcome back to another video. My name is Superfly Comics Guy and I am very excited to talk about this book today. We're back at it with Spidey, my boy, my bread and butter. We're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus by David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane. Oh, I can't wait to show you more of this book, so I hope you'll join me as we take a look at the cover, the spine, the contents collected, the build quality, and of course I'll take you through a flip through where I add in my own thoughts, opinions, and recommendations. If you like this video or you find it helpful or entertaining, you know how to show it. And if you're a nerd like me, leave a comment for me down below and I'll be happy to have a discussion with you. But with that out of the way, go grab your spaghetti and get your web shooters ready because we're taking a look at one of the most important eras in Spider-Man's entire history. Let's do this. Okay, so in front of you, you are looking at the 2021 reprint of this omnibus. Here we have the direct market variant of this printing featuring the iconic issue number 300 cover. Love it. Technically, this is one of the direct market variants for this book. Interesting story there. When this printing was solicited, this was the image they used to show it off in the previews. But when the book shipped out, most people ended up with this cover for the dust jacket, which was the direct market variant of the previous printings. There was a mix-up with the files, and I guess they sent out the wrong image. So me being one of those people who ended up getting that, I was sent a replacement with the correct direct market variant. Let me show you the spine. There it is. Very classic Marvel Omnibus design. And the back, yet again, very classic design with the cover gallery, a cover price of 100 US or 125 Canadian, and the contents, very, very straightforward. With this one, you're just getting Amazing Spider-Man number 296 through 329, and material from Spectacular Spider-Man Annual number 10. So let me flip this over for you and start showing you under the dust jacket. Bam, and here you are with the standard cover for this omnibus right under the dust jacket. Man, you gotta love it. Such an iconic image. It's been homaged countless times in other comics. There's the spine for you. You got a different image there. Very menacing image of Venom overlooking a apparently defeated Spider-Man. And there you go. That is what the old direct market variant for this book was before this reprint. But you know what time it is. It's time for a flip through. So come on. All right, people, let's start taking a look at this omnibus. As always, you know me. You don't have to worry about me discussing spoilers because I will not discuss spoilers. But you should keep in mind that I will be flipping through the art pages, so you might see something in the art that spoils something. So, like I said, keep that in mind. Where does this omnibus fit? Well, thanks to the table of contents, we can see it covers the late 80s and very early 90s period of Spider-Man, going from January 1988 up until February of 1990. And I'm going to say it right out the gates. This is a must-own omnibus for Spider-Man fans. You got David Michelinie on writing, and as I said before, this is a very important era of Spidey's history, largely thanks to Todd McFarlane on art. He's not doing the art yet in these first couple pages. This omnibus opens with a couple of introductory issues, but he comes in later. But why am I making such a big deal about the art? Well, before this point, Spider-Man comics, particularly on the artistic side, had been stagnating for a while. That meaning ever since John Romita Sr. pretty much redefined the look for Spider-Man in the mid to late 60s. That pretty much became the standard, and for about 20 years afterwards, every subsequent artist more or less stuck to that Romita style. And don't get me wrong, John Romita Sr.'s style is iconic. I love his artwork. But it's inimitable, really. When you have someone else just trying to imitate John Romita Sr.'s art, it seems a little bit hollow in comparison, and you have to keep in mind that other comics had started to progress, and Spidey's series was starting to show its age, since it was just using the same old kind of art style. But then comes issue 298, Todd McFarlane's first issue on Spidey as the artist, and immediately you can tell a difference. And especially so a few issues later, once Todd McFarlane kind of gets the hang of things and starts to do his own inking. But you'll start to notice he's got a very distinctive style. You'll notice a lot more acrobatic poses, the big eyes for Spider-Man, more three-dimensional webs. Because before this, Spider-Man, whenever he would shoot webs, they would be very, very two-dimensional. They would just kind of be a bunch of crisscrossed lines. They would just look like fishnets. But one of Todd McFarlane's whole things was like he's very big about adding depth to his images. And one of the things he wanted to do was be able to shoot Spider-Man's webbing at the camera and do kind of cool poses like that. But he couldn't really do that with the old style of webs. So what he did was he kind of introduced this new type of webbing that has since been penned spaghetti webbing, where you see this continuous strand, but it's wrapped by other strands of webs around. It kind of looks more like a rope than before. If you're not familiar with Todd McFarlane's work, I highly recommend you check out some of his videos on here on YouTube, where he draws Spider-Man and explains some of these topics much better than I can. And another good one you should totally watch is the documentary Like Hell I Won't, which delves into more of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I love that image so much. But yeah, Marvel was very much against all these changes that Todd was making. He got lots of pushback for this, telling him, you can't draw Spider-Man like this. That's not what Spider-Man is supposed to look like. His eyes aren't supposed to be that big. Spider-Man doesn't shoot spaghetti out of his web shooters. What are you doing? But Todd, being the stubborn guy, as he notoriously is, he kept pushing. And it made a difference because this book was selling. I mean, man, there's a Todd pose if you've ever seen one. So good. Yeah, you see how he shoots the web out at the camera? But yeah, every now and then you just get someone who comes along and they don't just raise the status quo, but they challenge it and they reset it and they inspire a whole new generation. And Todd McFarlane is definitely one of those people. So much so that by the time his run on Spider-Man ended, the next artists were encouraged to emulate his style as much as possible, which is ironic considering how much Marvel pushed against him before that. But man, I've said in the past that Mark Bagley is my favorite Spider-Man artist, but Todd McFarlane's certainly up there for me too. Now, I'm not saying he's a perfect artist. I know I'm singing his praises a lot, but he definitely has his shortcomings, such as sometimes he'll do some goofy facial expressions, or he tends to reuse similar poses, but hey, that doesn't take away anything from his achievements and influence. Another thing I gotta mention real quick, there's a really cool issue in here where Todd McFarlane gets to draw Prowler. And if you are familiar with Todd McFarlane, you know he's the creator of Spawn. And you can see in the way he draws Prowler that it very much feels like a precursor to that work. There's so many similarities to Spawn here. I found that super duper cool. But enough about the art for a bit. We can talk about the writing too, because that's the writing by David Michelinie is very strong in here. He's not talked about enough, in my opinion, as a Spider-Man writer. A nice homage there to Action Comics #1, that first issue of Superman. Yeah, you'll find Todd makes a lot of classic references like that in his work. But yeah, the writing from David Michelinie, you'll find that he does a great job of applying that classic Spidey humor, which you have to have when you're doing a Spidey book. But he also knows when to get serious when the situation calls for it. I actually really like how he writes Mary Jane in this book too, because I dislike it in superhero stories when the love interest's sole contribution is to worry about the hero or be in need of saving by the hero. They're supporting characters. They exist to strengthen and deepen the hero. That's what they should be there for, and that's the case here. Because by this point in Spider-Man comics, Peter and MJ are married, and she knows he's Spider-Man. And I found that to be a really compelling way of shaking up their dynamic, because think about it. It's nice that Peter has someone that he can trust. and confide in regarding his Spidey activities. He doesn't have to keep it all to himself. MJ is there for him, and she's very supportive of him and his Spidey activities. So, you know, he doesn't have to bear all the weight of it all on his own, and I love them together. They have a really endearing relationship that feels very genuine and fun to read. God, such cool paneling. Yeah, you see how you have like overlapping panels and characters jumping out of panels. Yeah, Todd was getting so much flack from that for Marvel, but I'm so glad he persisted because it's so cool. Look at this stuff, man. The highlight of this book, though, by far for me, has to be that this book contains the first appearance of Venom. And all the storylines associated with that are awesome. If I had to pick a favorite Spider-Man villain, it would probably be Venom. He's so cool. God, I love these poses so much. Todd McFarlane also draws one of, if not my favorite, design for the Lizard. Just so intimidating and monstrous, and God, I almost don't have words, but just so cool looking. But back to Venom. Funny story, actually, about the creation of Venom. It was kind of an accident. The whole reason was that, well, by the time Todd was put on this book, Spider-Man was still wearing a cloth version of the black suit, the symbiote suit. And Todd didn't want to draw that. He's like, hey, if I'm going to draw Spider-Man, I want to draw the red and blue. That's Spider-Man to me, not this stupid black suit. Let's put that on some other guy. So collaborating with David Michelinie, they, created this new character, Venom, who can still wear the black suit, have the alien symbiote on him, while Spidey gets to go back to his red and blue. And I thought that was like so cool because you have this legendary villain, Venom, who has, since then exploded in popularity. All because Todd just didn't want to draw the black suit. He wanted to draw classic Spidey. I found that super interesting. But, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in this book. Like, there is some downtime in the writing. Like, there's a political storyline towards the end of this book featuring Captain America and Silver Sable that I found to just drag on, and it was honestly boring. So you're not getting stellar stuff all the time, but when like all the other times you're getting awesome stuff. Literally, like all the issues with Venom especially are just so freaking cool. I'm telling you, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you have to get this book. It's so good. But let's take a quick flip through the extras. So in terms of extras, you're starting off with an afterword here by David Michelinie, and then you're just getting a whole heap of variant covers. Oh yeah, baby. I'll try to, we don't have to go through all of them, but we can take a quick flip through. If I'm not mistaken, pretty much all of them are drawn by Todd McFarlane, which is always a win. God, just so cool. I love the dynamic poses, and oh, look at that. So cool. But yeah, you do get sometimes like goofy looking faces, like Beast there looking a bit strange. That one is super cool. You have the black suit side drawn by Todd McFarlane, and you have the red suit side drawn by Eric Larson, so that was a cool little collaboration. God, there's Venom. Yeah, I mean, you look at it and, Venom's design hasn't really changed that much ever since he was introduced. He's largely kept the same classic design that he got when he was initially created, which is just a sign of a good, timeless design. I will say I'm not a fan of how Todd McFarlane draws Hulk, but they can't all be winners, I suppose. And there you go. There's the end. You have the standard cover and the old direct market variant cover. Next up is the build quality. And here we are. 856 pages is what you're getting in this omnibus. Nice small to medium size.
That's what she said!
And there is the eye for you. Very, very good. Doesn't have to be too big because, as you've probably noticed, this being a Bronze Age / Copper Age book, you're getting white borders that buffer the gutter a little bit, so I don't think there will ever be an instance in this book where you're getting gutter loss. Let me see if I can find a spread page. Okay, so never mind. I couldn't actually find a spread page, but that makes sense, this being an older book and all. So don't worry about gutter loss. With the buffered gutter and everything, you'll be fine. And this book lays over super flat. Here's towards the beginning. Yeah, lays over pretty flat. Lifts up a little bit, but not too bad. What I will say is this book is printed in Turkey. So you know what that means. Unfortunately, the paper is a little bit on the thinner side, and you do get some color bleed from the other side of the page. So if that bothers you, I don't know, something to keep in mind. It can be occasionally distracting, but a lot of the time there's so much artwork on the page that you don't really get that too often, but when there's a lot of white space, then you're going to start seeing artwork from the other side peeking through. But anyway, just to quickly wrap up my thoughts here, as I mentioned already, this is a must-own omnibus for any Spider-Man fan, even if it's just for the historical significance alone, being with how this book changed the game for Spider-Man. But that sentiment is elevated even more by the quality of the stories and the artwork in here. It's just a must-own. And because of the way this run revitalized Spidey, I'd argue it could serve as a pretty good starting point for a new reader. You don't really need to know much to enjoy it. I mean, maybe if you're a complete beginner, then you might be a little bit confused at first, but it's really, really easy to get into. And even if you know nothing about Spider-Man, you get to appreciate some gorgeous art. I think the 2021 reprint is still available. Last time I checked in-stock trades, they had it. They had the direct market variant for 48% off. So I mean, if you're interested, by all means, go out and get it. And God, just if in my lifetime I could see Todd return to one day give us another run on Spidey, I would love, love, love that. I mean, it's probably unlikely. He's busy, running Image Comics and his own toy company, but that would be so cool just to see him come back and draw some more panels of Spidey. But anyway, that's been my review of The Amazing Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane Omnibus. Let me know what you thought about this book or the review. Who's your favorite Spider-Man artist? What other works by Todd McFarlane do you enjoy if you're familiar with him? Let me know, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope to catch you in another video real soon. Have yourself a great day. I've been Superfly Comics Guy, and until next time, keep reading. Bye, guys.